In justice and law, house arrest is a measure by which a person is confined by the authorities to their residence. Travel is usually restricted, if allowed at all. House arrest as an alternative to being in a prison while awaiting trial or after sentencing. While house arrest can be applied to criminal cases when prison does not seem an appropriate measure, the term is often applied to the use of house confinement as a measure of repression by authoritarian governments against political dissidents. In these cases, the person under house arrest often does not have access to any means of communication with people outside of the home. If electronic communication is allowed, conversations may be monitored. Judges have imposed sentences of home confinement as an alternative to prison as far back as the 17th century. Galileo was confined to his home following his infamous trial in 1633. Authorities often used house arrest to confine political leaders who were deposed in a coup d'état. But this method was not widely used to confine numerous common criminals. This method did not become a widespread alternative to imprisonment in the United States and other Western countries until the late 20th century, when newly designed electronic monitoring devices made it inexpensive and easy to manage by corrections authorities. Although Boston was using house arrest for a variety of arrangements, the first ever court sentence of house arrest with an electronic bracelet was in 1983. Home detention is an alternative to imprisonment. Its goals are both to reduce recidivism and to decrease the number of prisoners, thereby saving money for states and other jurisdictions. It is a corrective to mandatory sentencing laws that greatly increased the incarceration rates in the United States. It allows eligible offenders to retain or seek employment, maintain family relationships and responsibilities, and attend rehabilitative programs that contribute towards addressing the causes of their offending. The terms of house arrest can differ, but most programs allow employed offenders to continue to work and confine them to their residence only during non-working hours. Offenders are commonly allowed to leave their home for specific purposes. Examples can include visits to the probation officer or police station, religious services, education, attorney visits, court appearances, and medical appointments. Many programs also allow the convict to leave their residence during regular, pre-approved times in order to carry out general household errands, such as food shopping and laundry. Offenders may have to respond to communications from a higher authority to verify that they are at home when required to be. Exceptions are often made to allow visitors to visit the offender. The types of house arrest vary in severity according to the requirements of the court order. A curfew may restrict an offender to their house at certain times, usually during hours of darkness. Home confinement or detention requires an offender to remain at home at all times, apart from the above-mentioned exceptions. The most serious level of house arrest is home incarceration, under which an offender is restricted to their residence 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except for court-approved treatment programs, court appearances, and medical appointments. In some exceptional cases, it is possible for a person to be placed under house arrest without trial or legal representation, and subject to restrictions on their associates. In some countries, this type of detention without trial has been criticized for breaching the offender's human right to a fair trial. In countries with authoritarian systems of government, the government may use such measures to stifle dissent. In some countries, house arrest is enforced through the use of technology products or services. One method is an electronic sensor locked around the offender's ankle. The electronic sensor transmits an RF signal to a base handset. The base handset is connected to a police station or for-profit monitoring service. If the offender goes too far from their home, the violation is recorded, and the police will be notified. To discourage tampering, many ankle monitors detect attempted removal. The monitoring service is often contracted out to private companies, which assign employees to electronically monitor many convicts simultaneously. If a violation occurs, the unit signals the office or officer in charge immediately. Depending on the severity of the violation, the officer will either call or verify the participant's whereabouts. The monitoring service notifies a convict's probation officer. The electronic surveillance, together with frequent contact with their probation officer and checks by the security guards, provides for a secure environment. Another method of ensuring house arrest compliance is achieved through the use of automated calling services that require no human contact to check on the offender. Rando